Hi, everyone. Welcome to the MultiDimensional MD. My mission is to help raise the bar of health and to wake up medicine to help you get in touch with the intangible aspects of health, including the intuitive body, the intuitive mind, and the intuitive spirit. My name is Dr. Arlene Diamco, and I'm an integrative physician, a pediatrician, and cranial osteopath. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. I would love to know where you're from, so leave a comment, ask questions. And today I'm going to talk about the multidimensional perspectives on cardiovascular disease. This is a really big topic, so it is not meant to be exhaustive, but I want to point out some things that maybe are not routinely looked at in regular medicine. So just expand your perspective on looking at cardiovascular disease. I'm going to go through this starting from the body. There's a lot to say about the body, and then going through the emotional body, then the mental aspects, and the energetic and spirit. So we'll go through that. And later on, I'll have the timestamps to this so you can jump to whatever part that you would like. So first, let's go through some statistics on cardiovascular disease. It is the #1 cause of death globally. About a third of all deaths in the world are due to cardiovascular disease. Now, these statistics, I don't know if they're through the pandemic or not, but anyway, it is a major cause of death globally. And this is according to the World Health Organization. And the 85% of those deaths are due to heart disease or like heart attacks or strokes. And the #1 of those is heart attacks. So I'm going to focus on heart disease and cardiovascular disease in that realm, because there's many different other causes of heart disease. So we're going to talk about like atherosclerosis and plaques and that sort of thing. And, one huge thing is that most cardiovascular disease can be prevented. So there are so many areas in our life that we actually have some flexibility and we can make some decisions to shift it. Of course, genetics will play a role. So some people will be at more risk than other people, but even with that, you still have a lot of wiggle room. So that's what I want to talk about. It's like, where's the wiggle room? Where can we make a difference? And to keep asking why with a healthy curiosity. So, when you find that your blood pressure is up, don't just leave it at that. Oh, okay, well, that's going to be more likely to be at risk for heart disease. It's like, why is the blood pressure up? Or if your cholesterol is imbalanced, it's like, why is it imbalanced? So just keep asking those why so you can have more understanding of yourself, of your body, of your life, and then you can make decisions from an understanding versus just kind of feeling like you're floating about and having to rely on medications. I'm not going to go through medications here. I'm going to leave that to you and your physician. And first things first, I want to go through a disclaimer that this video is not intended to diagnose, cure, or treat medical conditions, nor is it to be used as a substitute for advice from a qualified health practitioner. The purpose of this video is informational only. If you need medical advice, please consult directly with a qualified health practitioner. So that's really important. Again, this is not going to be an exhaustive list. There will be things I won't be able to get to because there's only so much time I have to talk about things here. But let's start to dive in. Oh, excuse me, hold on one second. So, okay. The physical body. So let's talk about some dietary changes that you can make. This is not even like necessarily integrative medicine, but eating a more whole foods based diet that is more plant-based is definitely healthier for you, healthier for your cardiovascular system. So this is going to be less meat, more veggies, and a lot of nutrient-dense foods. So providing a lot of vitamins and minerals. And also, it's really important to decrease that toxic load on the body. So that's eliminating red meat, fried foods, and unhealthy fats. So there's healthy fats and oils from wild salmon, from olive oil, from chia seeds, and you also need sources of fiber. We're talking about both soluble and insoluble fiber because they each have their benefits. Both can help with moving things in the gut. They can help with detoxification, and soluble fiber can also help with metabolism of the fats, your blood sugars, and insulin levels. So, sometimes when we're talking about cardiovascular disease, we get so focused on the fats. It's not all about the fats. Again, it's like looking at why the fats are imbalanced. Well, look at the diet. Also, we're going to talk about this more later, like your stress levels, because when you're stressed, you're going to be producing more cortisol. You're going to be producing more cholesterol. Your body is going to be told to make these things that will put you at risk for cardiovascular disease. So there is a reason why. So that's why I am saying just keep asking why in a gentle way, because it's if you get too tunnel visioned about it, that's not so great for your health either. So it's this gentle, open-minded perspective. And in general, a diet that is more alkaline or a Mediterranean-based diet is going to be healthier. So if you need a handout on that, please feel free to get in touch with me. You can email me at welcome@allworldshealth.com, and we would be happy to send you a real quick handout. And so I want to talk about some scientists, Linus Pauling, who is a Nobel laureate. And he did a lot of research on vitamin C. I know some of this is controversial, but I also see that it makes so much sense. And there are people that have followed some of his guidelines that have been able to reverse their cardiovascular disease. And that is really amazing. So he was looking at vitamin C deficiency. And the body needs vitamin C to help make collagen and elastin. And this is to help keep the blood vessels strong. And the interesting thing is that not all animals have cardiovascular disease. It's us and rabbits and maybe another, but that's really interesting. So it was, to him, it developed as an adaptation to scurvy, to severe vitamin C deficiency. So scurvy, you start to bleed out, your blood vessels become weak, and you don't have enough vitamin C to keep it strong. So, so the main component of plaques is lipoprotein A. So instead, lipoprotein A was laid down as a surrogate for vitamin C. So that's really interesting. To help reverse that, it's to look at your antioxidant levels, to look at your diet, see if you are possibly deficient in vitamin C, as many people are. And so you want to get that more in your diet. You can also take some vitamin C. Liposomal vitamin C is the best absorbed. You can take some lysine with that. And again, consult with your health practitioner for the dosing and tweak it just for you. So it'll be vitamin C, L-lysine, and also a source of collagen or proline. So these are things to help keep those blood vessels strong. So another person that has really influenced me is Edgar Cayce, and he is a 20th century mystic. He's really well known. He has over 14,000 readings that he did that were recorded, so that you have the accuracy of what he said, and then they had some follow-up too of how much he helped people. So his view on cardiovascular disease, one of the main, top several things that he mentioned was, again, to eat healthy. So what we were talking about, and reducing that red meat, getting more whole foods diet, eating a more alkaline diet. And that, again, if you need the handout, let me know. And then when you eat healthy like that, you're also reducing that toxic burden on the body. So, so Edgar Cayce had talked about the blood vessels weakening because of this toxic burden. So that's really interesting. It goes along with what Linus Pauling was saying, that the vitamin C deficiency wasn't able to keep the blood vessels strong. But what if the burden on those blood vessels was higher and they weren't able to stay strong for other reasons too? So that's so fascinating. So eating well and reducing that toxic burden, and then detoxifying very gently as you need to. And this is whether you're taking salt baths or doing castor oil packs to the liver, and or other ways to detoxify. So it could be through exercise and sweating. So those are all really important. And keeping the colon moving. So we're talking about the liver and colon health here, because those are major detoxification organs. So if you're not going to the bathroom at least twice a day, I would say, with a smooth snake-like move, then you're likely backed up and constipated, and that means your body's going to have a harder time getting rid of things that it needs to. The third thing Edgar Cayce often mentioned was balancing the nervous system, and this can be done in many different ways. He often recommended osteopathic treatment, sometimes massage and other hands-on treatment, and it's just like that sympathetic overload in the body, and that bit more fight or flight. So we'll talk about that more in just a moment. So other herbs and supplements. Earlier we mentioned omega-3s and getting enough fiber, but again, try to get these things through a whole foods diet. I know I'm going through things very quickly here because I have so much to go through, and I want to make sure that you have this information. Magnesium is another really big one to help all the muscles in your body and your nervous system. So a lot of people are also deficient in magnesium. This is something that you could get your your levels checked, and you can ask your physician about that. And my favorite herb would be hawthorn for heart disease or any cardiovascular disease. Hawthorn berry is such a really gentle heart tonic. It can be taken as a tea, it can be taken as a tincture, it can be taken as a capsule. Traditional herbalists prefer the more liquid versions because it's easier to assimilate into the body. So yeah, I love hawthorn. It's, oh gosh, so good in times of grief as well. So it helps to lift the heart in many ways. We're still on the body here. So exercise is really important, and all kinds of exercise. So getting your body moving, so aerobic exercise, but also strength training and stretching. A lot of times you see, even before the signs of cardiovascular disease are picked up, the body starts to stiffen, and it's that flexibility that we need. You could get all these kinds of exercise through doing something like yoga, where you're getting stretching, you're getting strength training, and depending on the yoga, you could actually get some aerobic. But if you only did yoga, then that would be okay. So you're also when you exercise, you're also moving and massaging all of those organs. So it helps them to kind of refresh and helps their physiological function as well. I've seen people where that one piece to helping balance the cholesterol was just making sure they got their exercise in. They're eating clean, they were meditating, and then they just needed to get some exercise. So really just going on a walk, 30 minutes most days. And just like that, the cholesterol really leveled out. So all of these things that I am talking about, if you haven't, maybe you're incorporating some things, maybe not others. So just widen your perspective and see, where can I make a difference in my life? What can I shift? Do not get overwhelmed into thinking you have to incorporate everything at once. This is about being very gentle with yourself, and this is moving into easing the breath, because again, there is so much tension when people have cardiovascular disease. And what I see is they tend to breathe much more up here into the chest. So if you were to put your hand on your chest or your belly, and your chest is moving the most, then you kind of breathing more upper, and you want to soften that breathing, get your breathing more into the belly, and make sure that your breath is actually moving in a slow, calm, gentle way, and not getting stuck like that. So this tension in the breath leads me into the emotional body. that heart shield, because this is all integrated. So when I talk about all these different layers, it's not like they're isolated, they are integrated as an alignment of the body. And when you have that tension in the body and the breath, this is part of your heart shield. And there's many reasons why someone would feel they need a heart shield, but it is energetically, to me, it's this kind of protection and needing to shield yourself from feeling overwhelmed and maybe not understood by the world, or maybe there's just like so much going on. I mean, right now, I think everyone could relate to that. So much going on. So it is so easy to put that heart shield up, and it's not necessarily an all bad thing because it gets you through that moment. But at the end of the day, it's what happens is that we're needing to protect the heart, but the shield will work in both ways. So it will also shield you from like allowing you the most joy that you can get out of life. So enjoying life and experiencing happiness and more fully does take some vulnerability. So even though we have this image of a warrior with a shield, full of courage, then this is a different kind of courage. It's like to put down that shield and experience the courage of vulnerability, which is an even bigger kind where, you might get hurt. It's okay. It's okay to feel hurt sometimes. It's okay to feel sad sometimes. It's okay to feel grief sometimes. It is that rainbow spectrum of human experience, and all of it is okay. So let that to soften the heart. So this will be bit by bit because matters of the heart are so delicate. So embrace yourself just like you would a baby and approach it that way. It isn't, again, it doesn't mean like yanking everything down and feeling really raw and overwhelming where you might be flooded with emotion. It's doing it in a gentle way, and every day looking at it, every day keeping that consciousness, that waking up to yourself and who you are, whether it's body, emotion, mind, spirit. So the more you can wake up to all of that, then the more you can allow health into your life. And, this association with the mental emotional state with cardiovascular disease, it's not, this is known, and we don't talk about it as much, but it's something that you can address, that you don't have to pay for per se, but you could do simple things like take a walk in nature, starting to breathe, maybe to journal. I'm going to put this infographic up here. This is from the CDC website, and you see that cycle of anxiety, depression, chronic stress can lead to heart disease, and then heart disease itself can lead to more mental emotional strain, and it's just like this cycle that keeps continuing. So when it's part of that human experience, and we can't avoid the human experience. It's when we try to that things stiffen up and become more difficult, and that takes me to the mental body, this need for more flexibility. So you see how they start to overlap. So if you find that you're wanting to control things all the time, then it's less flexibility of the mind, and then less flexibility of the body, and then tension in the breath and putting up a heart shield. So you see how all of this repeats itself in the various layers. And this mental emotional part, so much of the pattern I see, and this is just like from my observation and what I notice in my patients, is that there's feeling of not wanting to let people down. We can, I feel like so many of us can relate to that, whether or not you have cardiovascular disease, not wanting to let people down. And so then it gets into the state of like, so trying to control everything and make it just right. And I see this pattern also in many other disease processes, but how to step out of that? It's looking at yourself like a friend, and the way we judge ourselves is so much harsher than the way we might judge other people. But at the same time, the way we judge other people may reflect, how we judge ourselves as well. So look at how you would treat a really good friend, your best friend, and how you would always be so encouraging. And if they were going through a hard time, you wouldn't kick them while they're down. So don't do that to yourself. So, come up with this new mantra. I am good enough just as I am. I am good enough just as I am. I am good enough just as I am. So say that and feel it. So don't just say it with a cognitive understanding, but it's to feel it in every cell of your body. You could also add some EFT tapping to that to kind of like help infuse it into your body. I am good enough just as I am. This is so important, people. If everyone could feel that, we would shift the world. And that takes me to the energetic and spiritual aspects of cardiovascular disease. So we have our connection to the heart field. And, the heart speaks to us in so many ways. And the majority of the messages are from the nervous system, are from the heart to the brain, and not the other way around. So about 80% of those neurological messages are from the heart going to the brain, and only 20% are from the brain to the heart. Isn't that remarkable? So who do you think is in charge? Who do you think is supposed to be in charge? Here. So we want to be able to connect with our heart field and listen to those messages from the heart. So one way the heart sends messages is through that nerve communication. That another way that the heart communicates is through electromagnetic field. And the electrical field of the heart is about 60 times greater than that of the brain. And the magnetic field of the heart is over 100 times that of the brain. Again, who is supposed to be in charge? So paying attention to this energetic component. And I blended this with spirit because we are spiritual beings. We are meant to live from the heart. We are meant to hear our heart's messages, our heart's communication. Another way that the heart communicates, the third way the heart communicates, is through biochemical communication. So these are going to be through hormones and neurotransmitters. So it's amazing because the heart is actually an endocrine gland and communicates, and it's also listening to the other hormonal messages from throughout the body. And we don't always talk about it like that. So the fourth way the heart communicates is through these pressure waves. So it's when the heart is in coherence, that's the heart rate variability, but the pressure waves are literally like you feel the pressure like through, and it creates your pulse, and this vibrates through the body and sends a message back to the heart as well. So that's so amazing. So the heart is sending its own message through the pressure waves, and then it sends it back to the heart. So that heart rate coherence, what I was talking about, that heart rate variability, this space between that our heartbeats varies. And if it varies in a way that's erratic, so the heart rate variability looks like spiky, that is not coherent. So what we want is more coherence, where it's more this sinusoidal smooth wave. And HeartMath, Institute of HeartMath, they do so much research on this. So look up HeartMath, and they have guided meditations and devices that you can use to help to establish coherence with your heart rate variability. And that is really important for empathy, because we can connect our heart fields, but we are more likely to be able to pick up on someone else's heart field and the communications of their heart if we have coherence in our heart field. So that coherence also aligns with coherence of emotion and coherence of the physiology. So you see how this mind, body, spirit approach is all coming together. So I think that's so fascinating. When you have that coherence, what they can measure with heart rate variability, then you are more likely to be empathic and more sensitive to the energy that you feel around you and the energy from other people's heart fields. And don't we need that in the world? Don't we need this empathy and people to be able to connect their heart fields? And so that is why I might ask of you to have that courage to connect your heart fields. It does start with you first. So to establish some coherence in your own heart field, and it can just be through this easy, gentle breathing, to, again, spending time in nature, to taking care of your health and from a multidimensional perspective. And then from there, we can connect with each other's heart fields, and we can also connect with that electromagnetic field of the earth. And then when we do this, we create this heart network all around the world. So you imagine you're like filled with this light, like a star inside of you. This is really like your heart field. And so when you let it expand, then you can connect to other heart fields, and other people let their heart fields expand. We just create this light network all around the world. And this is how we can heal the world. This is how we help understand each other, help understand ourselves, are kind to each other, take care of each other, take care of the earth. And we are able to heal with so much depth. So thank you so much for joining me here today. That was a lot of information. There is even more that I didn't get to, but I hope that you had some tidbits there that were useful for you. And I'm starting to sweat out here in the sun. It's so hot in the middle of the summer. I hope you get something out of that. If you got even one little piece that could create, you could access more of that wiggle room of health, then that's incredible. Again, this was not all inclusive, and I want to put up that disclaimer again. So it's not meant to diagnose, cure, or treat medical conditions, nor be used as a substitute for advice from a qualified health practitioner. Purpose of this video is informational only. So if you need medical advice, please consult directly with a qualified health practitioner. And thank you all so much for being here with me today. Again, please like and subscribe. You can also follow me on Instagram at All Worlds Health, on Facebook, All Worlds Health and Pediatrics, and on my website, allworldshealth.com. You can sign up for my e-love letters. And as always, I would love to hear from you. Please leave a comment. Let me know where you're from, and let me know what your favorite part of this video was. So lots of love to you. Take care.